Welcome back. Let's now turn to the big focus story. While briefing the parliament over drug menace, Union Home Minister Amit Shah took a strong stand against the drug abuse and stated the drug traders will not be spared. He further asserted that profits being made from drugs are utilized for terrorism. And what can be called as a rare instance, the Home Minister praised states for their support in the fight against drug abuse and for the cooperation extended to agencies. However, the Congress hit out at the centre, saying that they have failed to make India Nasha Mukt, alerting the modus operandi as well. Union Home Minister Amit Shah said drug smugglers are using new and novel ways to smuggle drugs. Drones are being used, docks are being used, and newer forms are being devised to peddle drugs into the country, emphasizing the need to have an inclusive policy for victims of drug abuse. The message was sent to civil society as well to welcome rehabilitation of drug users. Let's listen in to the Union Home Minister Amit Shah and also to the reactions coming in from the opposition.
कि नरेंद्र मोदी सरकार की ड्रग के कारोबार पर और उसके मुनाफे से आतंकवाद के वित्त पोषण पर जीरो टॉलरेंस की नीति है और हम सख्ताई से इसको जीरो तक ले जाने के लिए हम प्रयास कर रहे हैं। केंद्र सरकार और राज्य सरकारों ने मिलकर लड़नी है। हमारे संघीय ढांचे में राज्य सरकारें कई सारी पार्टियों की होती है, कई बार केंद्र में भी मिली जुली सरकारें आती हैं, परंतु मैं आज ये बात सदन के सामने स्वीकार करना चाहता हूं कि जहां तक ड्रग के खिलाफ लड़ाई का सवाल है, देश की सभी राज्य सरकारों ने केंद्र सरकार के साथ कंधे से कंधा मिलाकर ये लड़ाई को गंभीरता के साथ लड़ा। जो ड्रग का सेवन करते हैं वो विक्टिम है, उनके प्रति सहानुभूति का रवैया होना चाहिए और पुनर्वसन की तैयारी और पुनर्वसन की कानूनी प्रावधान होने चाहिए। परंतु जो ड्रग का व्यापार करते हैं, इसकी तस्करी करते हैं, इसको नीचे तक पहुंचाते हैं, वो चाहे छोटा हो या बड़ा, इसको छोड़ना नहीं चाहिए, उसको कानून के शिकंजे के अंदर डालना चाहिए।
आपको ये कहना चाहते हैं कि जिस रवैया से आपने हिंदुस्तान को ड्रग मुक्त करने का बात कहे हैं, जमीनी हकीकत कुछ अलग बयान करते हैं। आपको जानकारी के लिए मैं ये दोहराना चाहते हैं कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट ऑर्डर्ड गवर्नमेंट सर्वे फ्रॉम December 2022 reported that a staggering 3.1 crore number of cannabis users and 2.26 crore opiate users with around 25 and 77 lakh facing dependency on both substances respectively. एक नंबर। दो नंबर, आत्महत्या 2018 साल में आपने तो गिनती की है 6 से 13, मैंने दूसरा गिनती कर रहे हैं। 2018 साल में हिंदुस्तान में ये ड्रग अब्यूज और अल्कोहल की चलते मौत हुई थी, मतलब सुइसाइड, खुदकुशी किए गए थे 7,193।
Right, so that was the discussion in Parliament earlier today. Joining me here on the program is Mr. Sashikant, former DGP of Punjab, and Dr. Vishal Kasal, consultant psychiatrist at Cadabam's Anunitha, which is a drug de-addiction center. Very good evening and warm welcome to both of you gentlemen. Thanks for joining us. I want to have this discussion around two aspects. First, the vulnerable section, the victims, the rehabilitation and reform that is necessary. The union minister has also emphasized on it. And then, of course, the current policy that is in place to crack down on drug networks, what is working and what is not. So I would like to quickly go through the figures before I go into the discussion, and this is how it looks for us in terms of the numbers over the years, deaths due to drug overdose. It's not as if we have made big progress in reducing the numbers during the rule of the BJP. The numbers have more or less stayed the same or in fact increased in the last 3 years. If you look at the state-wise data, the top 5 states, Uttar Pradesh, Punjab, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Karnataka. These are the top 5 states, and you can see the number of cases of drug abuse that has been reported year on year, it is not as if there has been any huge improvement in bringing down the cases of drug abuse. So I want to begin by asking you, Mr. Sashikant, that, you were heading the police force in Punjab, which is one of the top 5 states, the second worst affected state from what we can see. The Home Minister struck a very positive note saying that there are systems in place, that the states are cooperating, but we do not see a downward trend. If at all, like I said, it has only increased. Where exactly do you think is the problem? Is there an issue with law enforcement in these states that are worst affected?
Yeah, well, let me state it very clearly that yes, we have very holistic policies, very stringent law, but looking at what's happening on the ground, situation is just worsening day by day. Reason, there are several reasons. And in fact, Punjab and Harry Court on my petition, they had clearly mentioned and enumerated these things, why these things are increasing and what all needs to be done. So many issues, unemployment, lack of awareness, lack of, like we have a psychiatrist also, I'm sure that he's going to talk about it at length. But the main problem here is that there is a clear nexus. If I talk of Punjab, there was a clear nexus between a section of drug smugglers, a section of guys in the police, and a section of politicians. Everybody using this drug money for their benefit. As on date, the situation is there's a clear nexus between drug smugglers, terrorists, and gangsters. It is improved only. Sorry, I'm using the wrong word. It's improved in a negative way. And reason is that we have been trying to catch hold of peddlers and pushers. Look, this is just like any other trade. These big fish, they are investing hundreds of crores, thousands of crores, like, that 3,000 crore worth of good stuff coming and this and that. Then that's distributed. I have not seen any state or any agency trying to crack down on these guys who are financiers of this absolutely horrible kind of business. In Punjab, like some years ago, they've got 25,000 persons, 30,000 persons. They were either end users or pushers.
Okay.
Like Home Minister has said, we have to take these persons who are end users with a sense of empathy. They are victims. They need to be taken out of this vicious circle, rehabilitated, and ensured that they don't go into this rut once again. Thank you to start with.
This is very important, what you're saying, that, we probably have got a grip on how to get hold of the small fish. But when it comes to the big drug cartels, when it comes to the drug lords, are you telling us that we still have a long way to go, Mr. Sashikant?
Yes, indeed. That's exactly what I'm saying. I have not seen any, I've been in service for about 40 odd years. And I've been studying this situation from 2007 onwards. I have not seen even one single person who is financier, who is getting this thing in bulk into the country and then distributing, who has been caught. Unfortunately, no. Thank you.
Yes, that's the issue, and that is where I wanted your opinion on this, since you've dealt with a state that is very badly affected. But coming to the other side as well, when we look at the victims, when we look at drug pushers, the end users, and the fact of the matter is that again we need to have a system in place, Dr. Vishal Kasal, on how to rehabilitate, how to ensure reform, how to have an inclusive policy for the victims. Are we on track in that aspect?
Yeah, see, as you've really pointed out, and the big fish are not caught, and the end users are the persons who are caught. And in terms of the facilities which are available for that, I think India is woefully inadequate in terms of helping people with this kind of problems. As in, like, the majority of the issues comes from the availability of facility for treating such kind of persons, which predominantly is one, the availability of psychiatrists, the psychologists, counselors, and more importantly, in more serious cases, it is the availability of a rehabilitation center. So it's woefully lacking in terms of that. I would say that each district, as you have rightly pointed out, the 5 states which rank quite high in terms of drug use, at least one of them should have, or at least all of them should have rehabilitation center, or at least the availability of psychiatrists to manage these kind of issues based in every district, I would say. And we lack that kind of infrastructure which is available in other countries, but not
Yes,
in
and do we also
India
need
at
a
this stage.
preventive system, Dr. Kasal, that somewhere the counseling that should happen to prevent, to even avert a situation where the vulnerable section can fall into the trap? Are we failing in that as well, to address the vulnerable sections?
Absolutely, absolutely. So, see, the current science says that addiction is a brain disorder, as in, like, there is a genetic vulnerability, and then there are environmental causes, like you've got wide availability of the drug, peer pressures, experimental tendencies in the teenage age group. So,
Yes.
these are all quite high risk factors which start at a very early age, and there should be widespread awareness amongst people. I know, like, they do it quite a lot for the tobacco, as in, like, there is widespread awareness. But in terms of the other drug use, like be it cannabis, be it cocaine, be it LSD or something of that sort, there is not much awareness amongst the population to understand that they can cause serious side effects or serious problems if they continue using it. So I think there should be a lot of awareness, like how the campaign against tobacco is promoted publicly. The same way, that is one of the preventive ways. The other way is to the other way is to increase the facilities, as I was telling, so that they, if they recognize it at an early stage, there can be early interventions. So.
Right.
That's what I
Mr.
would say.
Sashikant, very quickly, if you can tell us a bit about the drug routes and why is it so difficult to, crack down on these routes? And it seems it's very clear where the drugs are coming from. It is known to the agencies, and yet, is it because of the complicity that you mentioned, the connivance of the agencies, that we are not able to crack down on these drug routes?
Yeah, to start with, I'd just like to say one thing. My friend out here was mentioning about it. The first thing is there has to be an awareness. When we're trying to create awareness, there has to be a rule, a law, or whatever it is, that drug utilization by any guy should not be considered as a stigma. It's just a disease, like he has mentioned, and it's certainly curable and should be cured, number one. Secondly, a close eye on the so-called drug de-addiction centers. A number of centers that I know of, they are not drug de-addiction centers, but unfortunately, they have become drug addiction centers. Buprenorphine and all these things, they are just sold out from some of these so-called centers, number one. And secondly, you talk about, yes, we know from where these drugs are coming. Now, if we're talking of opioids, certainly they're coming from Golden Triangle, that's Afghanistan through Pakistan and all those things. Right. And Golden Triangle, the Burma and bordering
yes,
on
but the concern is we are not
able
to stop the trafficking, and the figures are showing us that we still have a long way to go. There's no improvement in the last few years. Thanks very much, gentlemen, for joining us here on the program with your inputs on this big story.
Thank you.
Well, here's a big update again. The Bombay High